What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic, talking a little bit of PGA DFS. It's your first look, baby. Let's hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. What a weird way to put that. Goes a long way for me on this video, goes a long way for you. That way you become a prize whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. If you couldn't tell, I'm excited for this week. That must be what it is. Coming off of a major where I got completely destroyed. Oopsie. Brooks Koepka kind of needed him, kind of didn't have him. Apparently, he's just going to win all the majors. He has 5 of them now. I can guarantee you, I have not been there on a single one. It's pretty frustrating. Ends up super popular at the Masters. Ended up a little less popular than we were projecting at the PGA, but is what it is. Such is life. We move on. I can guarantee you where I didn't get burned. PGA Rainmakers, because he doesn't have a card available. None of the live guys do, and that is great stuff. Check out Rainmakers PGA Tour, friends. There is a link in the video description box below where you can sign up and get 8 free cards. Yes, 8 free cards. And if you're starting that pack this week, for the love of God, get Scotty Scheffler. Just get him. You got my cards. Just get yourself some Scotty Scheffler, get in some of these contests. And again, you have UFC, you have you have NFL coming up here very, very shortly. I know you're excited for that, Jesse. Let's not kid ourselves. You're very, very excited for that this season. But PGA Tour, I'm looking at some of these contests this week. You got the bankroll booster. So, hey, no cards left behind. You have a starter only here, 1K guaranteed. 3,000 core packs coming with that. Fire off some of your core cards or your starter cards that you can get in that video description box below right there. And then the rare contests, again, 2K to first. I said we'd be covering it. I think we're going to be covering that a little bit tomorrow morning. I think that there's some intriguing ways to go about building your lineups where, hey, makes a lot more sense to not have Scotty Scheffler in that captain spot because he's very expensive and rare if you're joining right now. I'm going to talk through how I'm going to be building out my rare single entry lineup for next week. Hopefully we can cash one of these damn things one day. That would be awesome. Again, I did not build very well last week. Had lots of Hovland. Hovland was my captain in single entry and still didn't cash. Way to go, Eric. Good job, good effort. Kind of needed Scotty Scheffler, and you're going to probably need some exposure this week. Let's jump to the Top Golfers tool because you want to talk DFS. But again, promo code, Stochastic for just about anything that we have here on the site. But you don't even need the promo code. Just go to that link below. Get yourself those 8 free cards. And if you can't utilize some of those for this week, then, well, jump over to the My Card section and go to the Craft and Burn right here. They're going to have cards that are available for you to trade in. Hayden Buckley, Luke List still available. Every single week, they're going to have guys available. Siwoo this week was a smash. Everybody got to him. Denny McCarthy, Kurt Kitayama, not nearly as appealing as getting Mr. Siwoo Kim. That is fantastic stuff. I have a ton of him. I will be covering that on the DraftKings Rainmaker show, which will be available tomorrow morning. So Tuesday, we're coming to you here this afternoon. Let's get to work, shall we? The Top Golfers tool. What are we looking at from a DFS perspective this week? Well, we're going to be a little bit freaky. Here. I'm going to just ignore MLB. I don't even know if I'm going to play today. I'm pretty tired. I'm looking here at Scotty Scheffler, 11.5. He's $800 more than everybody else. And the optimal percentage isn't loading in here, but I promise you it's being accounted for. That's how the leverage score is being calculated. But he's got a 12% win percentage and a top 6 percentage where nearly 50% of the time. We're talking 40% of the time he's finishing in the top 6. That is dumb. I mean, he's Tiger stuff. Scotty Scheffler, T2 at the PGA last week. Phenomenal stuff across the entire board in terms of strokes gain data. He's one of the best ball strikers. I'm going to X out of this here for now. One of the best golfers on the PGA Tour and in recent memory and maybe ever based on what we've seen of him of late. But there's one golfer that I want to highlight in this 10K range. And yes, Tony Finau, talked about it a lot. His irons have been hot. I'm going to have exposure there, but about appropriate. Our most positively leveraged golfer of the entire week right now is Colin Morikawa, 9.2%. Again, optimal percentage is going to be right in that 14% range. That's why this is calculated 4.9%, even if it's not highlighting right there. Colin Morikawa, he's 10-4, coming off of a week where I'm actually encouraged for the most part by what we saw out of him. Now, it wasn't him setting the world on fire. He's won a couple majors as is already. He has a PGA championship and an Open championship to his record. Looking for that U.S. Open. I think he's a really good contender for Los Angeles Country Club. Looking at LACC coming up here for the U.S. Open. But I think he starts to find some good form right about now. It's coming. He went back to the saw putting grip. I think that's a plus considering he won both of his majors with that grip. Feels a little bit weird to say, but 0.5 strokes gained putting at the PGA last week is really exciting to me. That sounds stupid, right? But he had lost 4.8 at the Wells Fargo, lost 2.3 at the RPC Heritage, still finished 31st. He finished 10th at the Masters, 13th at the Players, lost 2.6 strokes with the putter, but he destroys with his irons. In fact, this season, he is the only person higher than Scottie Scheffler on tour in strokes gained approach. That's absurd. And this golf course, we're talking Colonial Country Club. I should probably talk about the golf course a little bit. It's old school, old style. I always just think about shorter hitters who hit it in play, who can play position golf, who can just plot themselves around the golf course by hitting darts, just absolute darts with the irons. That's going to be a huge part of my portfolio this week. Going to be talking about a lot of players and highlighting a lot of players where that's their key component. Sure, we have around the green game with guys like Na, Kevin Na back in the day, he was the supreme around the green player. Shout out Liv, you took another one bites the dust. You have Mr. Jordan Spieth, who has amazing course history, and he's going to be uber popular. How popular? Boom. 29.9% ownership currently. Scottie Scheffler is like a true 50-50. I'm going to be below the field on 49.4% if that ends up being the number. Congrats to everybody on the Scottie Scheffler win here. He did finish second, lost in a playoff to his buddy Sam Burns last year. My buddy Sam Burns. I'm mad at him from last week. But looking at Jordan Spieth with nearly 30% ownership, that is too much ownership. His wrist looked okay. If we go to the box score, and I know you box score watchers, you walk amongst us, let's be serious. Looked better. Had a nice Sunday. Sunday I thought was the easiest day out of all of them to go out and score. Certain guys just took it deep. Sepp Straka, let's talk about him in a second. But Jordan Spieth, 73, 72, 71, 69. Talked about the wrist. Talked about everything else there. Second strokes gain off the tee. Off the tee play. Again, it's accuracy more than anything else. It is truly a week where distance doesn't matter. I mean, it still matters. It doesn't matter what golf course you play. You can look at distance as a plus, but it's definitely muted out here. A lot of 3-woods, a lot of 2-irons, and really just approach golf everywhere, making sure you have the right angles into certain holes. Makes it fun. It's a nice mix up from the PGA Tour where it's just bomb it, put in play, wedge it, do all the things. You're still gonna have to wedge it really, really good around here, but you're not going to see people going crazy, crazy low. I do not think. But you're looking at Scottie Scheffler. I don't know. I keep clicking out of that. You keep looking at Scottie Scheffler at 50% ownership, and that is just too high, I think. I'm going to be spreading it around some of these other pieces, and there's some other popular pieces. We'll talk about Ricky and everything else, but I want to finish with the 10K range here. Finau, positive leverage, click. The irons have been in fuego for him as well. Max Homa. I'm having a tough time with Max Homa here at 10-1, figuring out exactly what I want to do, and, well, I took advantage of this great Rainmakers promotion. If you go to, I should just show you in the rewards section, go to achievements. If you spend $5 or more over at the, let me find it here. Missions, where is it at? Oh, I promise I'll get there one day. Promos, there we go. Check out all the promotions. There it is. Let's find it here at the top. And let's go to Rainmakers. Here it is. Exclusive offer. Get a free PGA Tour booster pack with a $5 golfer purchase. So I spent my $5. I actually bought a rare card of Will Gordon for like $9. I thought that was low priced. It's now at 10. I'm going to have a little bit of exposure this week in DFS as well, but take advantage of that, because then cool things like that booster pack can show up and you can get a Max Homa golf card like your boy right here got. Max Homa, Mr. Barnes, he's not playing golf here, but I ended up getting a Max Homa card in that booster pack. He's now going for around $16. So, hey, for a $9 purchase of Will Gordon, I found a $16 Max Homa card that I could just turn around and sell for this week and be just fine. But do I want to be playing him at DFS is the real question here. And I should probably get back into my DK. But looking at Max Homa's ownership here, 10.7%, little bit of positive leverage. That means you're going to be looking at an optimal percentage right around that 12.3% number. Good job, Eric. You are great at math. But Jordan Spieth, 9,900. He's pulling all that ownership. I could easily see myself getting to Homa, going down to Burns, but I just see the ownership on Burns, my guy, former winner here. Has his stuff been as good this season? Absolutely not. Talked about him a million times more than I probably should have on this program because I'm obsessed with his boom bust nature. But like, think a lot of this home ownership that I would have gone there is just going to go down to Burns and allows me to play Scotty Scheffler without really batting an eye. I think when I start getting to Scheffler and Spieth combinations, it's a very tough week. It's a very tough week. If they both play well this week, I'm in a lot of trouble more than likely because I'm definitely going to be under the field on both. But I think I'm going to be under on Max Homa, even with the positive leverage, just because Burns, my guy, is at 6% right now. Pretty wild stuff. But making our way downtown, we got Chris Kirk, Siwoo Kim, talked about him earlier. I think positive leverage on both of those guys makes some sense. And I think the Tommy Fleetwood play is more than fine. I'm happy to eat some chalk at 15.4% than eating some chalk at 30%, eating some chalk at 50%. I think in large field tournaments, you're in a lot better spot running into combinations of Spieth Fleetwood than Scheffler Fleetwood, running into combinations of Hovland Fleetwood than running into combinations of Spieth Fleetwood. Things of that nature are going to be paths that I take in some of my builds, and we'll talk about when we go to the single entry section of this video. Because again, we're going to mainly focus here on the top golfers tool. I'm going to show you the PGA lineup generator as well here at Stokastic, and then we'll get ourselves the heck up out of here. But I look at this mid-range here. Siwoo Kim, Ricky Fowler pulling quite a bit of ownership, even though I do like him as well at 17%. Pretty much everything's just more muted than Scotty Scheffler, than Jordan Spieth. And if I'm going to be under the field to both of them, I'm allowed to play a little bit more of these chalky plays in this mid-range. And everybody else is going to gravitate towards them too. I'm a sick person. I'm going to be playing a 9,700 Burns because nobody else wants to. And well, he's already won a match play. He's won at this golf course. He competed at Valspar like he always does. And well, I just don't find this to be that prohibitive of a golf course when it comes to, well, if you're hitting everything, if you're hitting your irons well, and he's one of the best putters on the PGA Tour as is, just go ahead, get yourself some access to some different builds. But Ricky Fowler, Denny McCarthy is an interesting play this week too. I've never been a Denny McCarthy guy, and I've never been a Tom Hoge guy, but both of them are starting to pop for me in a pretty prominent way. I think the case for Tom Hoge is a little bit easier to make at 8,500. One, nobody's playing him. And two, you know what the best part of his golf game is, and it is pretty much correlated with a lot of the winners here. It's iron play. He's going to be a ball striking Jesse. At least he has to be able to find himself into an optimal lineup here and beat out some of these top tier players. But fourth in strokes gained approach amongst this field in the last 50 rounds. It's a little bit surprising to me. A little bit surprising. And Minwoo Lee coming off of a good week. More of a bomber. People are going to think of him as a bomber, but all around decent enough golf game that might take some shots. Basically, this entire 8K range is getting nothing because Scotty Scheffler makes it really hard to land on two of those pieces for sure. So you're seeing Scotty Scheffler getting paired with this mid sevens, and let's talk about them because I think we'll just group it by ownership. Crap. Of course I did that. Look at this. Disgusting stuff. You people are disgusting. Patrick Rogers, I don't understand this. Thomas Dietrich, I understand it a little bit. Lucas Herbert, I understand it kind of, but not really. Hayden Buckley, get out of here. Eric Cole pulling 7,200. Remember when I talked about him last week? Got made fun of. Yeah. I'm looking at you, Thomas. Thanks, buddy. I know you're watching. Like a hawk. Oh, Eric Cole's the worst play in the history of DFS. I'm never listening to you again. Well, suck it, because he was awesome. And, well, ended up working out for me. I should probably show you. How much did it work out for me? Well, I got completely destroyed the entire week. But Eric Cole had some. I think you all should have had some. Talked about him in depth. T15 at a cheap number. What was he? He was something really cheap. I can't remember exactly. Why do they not show the salaries anymore? What's going on? Do I have to group it out? Do I have to do something? Do I have to do a little dance? Make a little love? Get down tonight? Let's go here. Eric Cole. I wasn't going to show Fantasy Cruncher, but I'm here. Oh, got to go to this. See, we're having a lot of fun today. It's the week after a major, I know. And here's the thing. I end up talking a lot longer about these kind of events because I think the majors, you have a lot of clear-cut spots to get to, and you try to find one or two points of differentiation. But Eric Cole pulling 10% here, 15th. He was 6,800. I was going to say he was one of the only players sub 7K that I had any sort of confidence in to maybe show up. But it's just because around the green game, he is supremely good at it. So fire that up for what you will. There are some really good pieces. Talked about it before where Jordan Spieth, he exists there. I think he's a piece that you can definitely look at. Kevin Na has had some history here as well. Lots of pieces that had really good around the green game and have found some success at Colonial. But let's look at these most positively leveraged golfers because you can notice very quickly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You got to go 12 golfers down to Billy Horschel Wolf. You got to go 12 golfers down to get to a 7K player. It is just a range that is going to get peppered. And I'm thinking about throwing in a rule where I'm only getting 1 or 2 of those main pieces in Scotty Scheffler teams so that my Scotty Scheffler teams can look different than everybody who's going, look at this. Scotty Scheffler, 7,700 left. These guys are just getting peppered in every single build right now. Ryan Fox coming off of a decent week last week as well. Again, you box score watchers, I know you walk amongst us. You have Smalley. Griot is actually somebody that I'm interested in this week because I don't think he'll be as popular coming off of a missed cut. But the ball striking, this is kind of a golf course I think is set up for him. Throw your hands up in the Jaeger, 8,100 for him there. I mean, those are the guys that I want to be getting to where there's not a ton of negative leverage, negative 1.3%, so right around 10.3% optimal percentage. Kurt Kitayama's pulling no ownership, and I didn't play him last week. I'll play him this week. Thanks, buddy. Whatever. Tommy Fleetwood, negative leverage, but it's still a piece you can tolerate. Basically, Scotty Scheffler plus lots of 7Ks. Everybody seems to be doing that in some capacity. Bo Hostler. Oh, God. It's a lot of ownership for Bo Hostler here this week, even though this would be the kind of golf course you want to play him. The former Longhorn, Southern Cowboy. But yeah, basically adopted Texan, if you will, around the green game putter. That's what he does. And iron play can spike. Bo Hostler, decent off the tee stuff too. It's a lot of ownership. So this 8K range, it's going to just completely break my soul. That's for sure. It's where all the positive leverage exists. Russell Henley, Denny McCarthy, Tom Hoge, Minwoo Lee, KH Lee, Brian Harmon, disgusting. Might have to play him in DFS, even though I don't want to. Might have to. Such is life. So be very, very careful. Let's finish out. More negative leverage here. Joseph Bramlett, Will Gordon, everybody here. And in Rainmakers, it's nice because you don't have to think about any of the ownership going in certain spots. Will Gordon, again, negative leverage the whole way here. But in terms of ownership, notice how many 7K players there are. There's a 9,900 Jordan Spieth. Sung J M. It's kind of a mixed bag for me when I want to get to. Do I want to eat the negative leverage there? Him and Dietrich, third most negative leverage on the entire slate. Going to be a tough one for me to stomach getting to a ton of him when I can get to Colin Morikawa and my boy Burns as much as I want. Siwoo Kim, in love with him this week at negative leverage too. Basically, I'm just going to be playing a lot of 5% guys in large field tournaments and the mini max and the $3 and all of those type of things. So going to be an enjoyable experience for me, losing money to everybody who's jamming a 30% Jordan Spieth and a 50% Scotty Scheffler. Even though single entry, still, I can understand just putting in Scotty Scheffler and moving along with your life. I think that's understandable. But in large field tournaments, going to be below the field. Anybody from 6K interest you? Well, nobody's pulling ownership. Nobody's pulling ownership. Like legitimately nobody. Look at this. 2.4% Harry Hall. 1% Carson Young, 2.1% Aaron Baddeley, Patton Kazire. I'd rather hire anybody else. Austin Eckroat, my guy, gonna have some shares of that even with negative leverage because I'm attached to him. Michael Kim's an interesting one. It's 6,700. I know that we don't have a ton of love for him here. It's a tiny bit of positive leverage, not hard when you're 2.4% owned, but give a shout out to Michael Kim. This guy was the it kid coming out of Cal once upon a time. I think it was Cal. Was it Cal? Google. Nobody's going to care except for me. I care. Let's go to his Wikipedia. Hope he plays well now. Yeah, Cal Berkeley. Thank God. I'm not an idiot. But 2013, he was an absolute stud. Hasn't really shown up until this Wells Fargo Mexico Open. We're starting to see some made cuts here. And at 6,700, these are the kind of guys that I want to sprinkle in, get 5, 6, 7, or 10% of to really get a ton of leverage. But I bring him up because the guy we have to talk about is Michael Block. the hell are people going to do this week? Because right now, I do not believe that if you go to our top golfers tool, Michael Block is going to be unowned. We have him at 0.1% chance of winning. That's understandable. But 0.1% ownership after what we saw last week, there are going to be casuals. They walk amongst us. They're going to be clicking Michael Block into lineups. I can tell you this is going to happen in some capacity. How much it's going to happen is up for debate. But coming off of a 15th, yay, good for you, Michael Block. Very happy for you. There's 0% chance that I'm going to take him over PGA Tour golfers. I'm just not. I think plus 250 to make a cut is a good way to kind of ensure it where you can not get completely destroyed if he goes nuts. But I'm going to have 0% in DFS, and it's not remotely close. Not when you have Aaron Rye, Joel Dahman, Scott Stallings, Luke List, Michael Block sitting there. Ches Reavie I'll click on. Adam Schenk I'll definitely click on before I click on him. Even with a million missed cuts, I don't understand what people are going to do here. I'm not positive. All I know is I do not trust 0.1% ownership. We're going to see. I bet 2 or 3% is in play. I don't think 5-6% is in play, but I think we're looking at playing semi-rake free here this week, mainly because he can make a cut. Good for you. I would be shocked if he finished in the top 40, top 30. I mean, we are seeing some massive numbers across the entire industry for it. He is minus 350 to miss the cut at BetMGM. So take a look at that for what you will. Pretty wild stuff. That was the longest to make the cut number that I saw. Actually, no, there's a couple that are longer now, but that was yesterday that I was looking at that. Either way, Austin Eckroat going to be getting to some pieces just about everybody there. But smash that like button for me. Subscribe button, notification bell. 6,900. My God, Michael Block. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Really like Scott Stallings for what it's worth. 6,900. Let's talk about my single entry, shall we? And get ourselves the heck up out of here. If you want to start and click on Scotty Scheffler and have that be your path, go right ahead. I'm going to be difficult. I'm going to be starting my builds with Colin Morikawa, 10-4, most positively leveraged golfer in our tool right now. I don't think it's unknown to PGA DFSers that he's an incredible iron player and that that's going to profile well here. I'm more encouraged with a flat putter. I know that sounds silly because, well, again, he needs to have his superpower intact, no doubt about it. But if he doesn't, I mean, then moving on with my life. But if we can get anything with the flat stick, we're in a really good spot. I'm also going to be skipping Jordan Spieth for the sake of this and skipping Sam Burns because I'm not going to play him in single entry. He's going to be more of a large field play for me. But Tommy Fleetwood is my next clickety clack. Don't stop the back. We've got my guy Fleetwood with a little bit of negative leverage. He's pretty popular, 15.4%. But in the single entry build, if I'm avoiding the 60% Scotty Scheffler that could show up in things that, $25 and up, feel pretty good about Scotty Scheffler fade when I have Morikawa Fleetwood, or I feel good about having negative leverage in my lineup a little bit more. Hovland's a little tough to fit in with those guys. I would love to, because I really like him this week as well. But Morikawa Fleetwood, think that that's going to be a path that I definitely take here. KH Lee, not the worst spot last week. I ended up with a ton of him, talked about him in depth. Top 30, I'll take that. He wasn't popular in any way, shape, or form, but would have been nice to get that top 20 out of him for sure. But I want to focus in on this 8K range because this is what we went to in the top golfers tool. And as I'm building here, pretty simple for me to one for one see, hey, KH Lee there, Brian Harman. Oh, there's some leverage, positive leverage there just about everywhere. But Tom Hoge was the guy that I don't know what it is about me and Tom Hoge this week. I've never liked this guy in my life. And yet I'm going to be playing him in my single entry lineup. There's just no ownership going for a guy who hits his irons as well as what he does. And when you have this kind of a piece in there that just nobody's landing on, 5.6%, I have him and Morikawa and my one piece of negative leverage in Fleetwood. I'm sitting in a really good spot to play best available or do whatever the hell that I want to in this range. And that's where I think Ryan Fox is a piece that I'd rather get to rather than Thomas D, considering the negative leverage isn't nearly as crazy. And I said the Ryan Fox one made some sense to me. Lucas Herbert and Patrick Rodgers makes just zero sense to me whatsoever. It is what it is. But Bo Hassler still fighting with myself there. But Maverick McNeely, boy, oh boy, oh boy. I expect there to be a Maverick McNeely week sooner rather than later. Was it the PGA? No, played terrible. Round 1. Whatever. AT&T Byron Nelson? I mean, shot 200, just didn't make a cut. This has been pretty bad. I'm actually just going to take him out for right now because I don't want you to get any ideas. But Beau Hossler, I think this is another piece that, again, I'm just having my doubts, having some difficulty with, but we'll see how popular he ends up. If he ends up more than 10% in single entry, I'd be pretty mad at myself here. Eric Cole, talked about him already. That's going to be kind of my short game one. Ooh, going to have to get some stuff there. And then last one, JT Poston. This is the guy I've kind of been waiting to talk about. Feel really good about his opportunity here on a golf course that kind of resembles some of his wins where you get, you know, the Colonial, you kind of pick your spots. You don't have to bomb it. Lots of things of that nature. The JT Poston is really popping for me. But friends, that does it. That's going to be my single entry build for you this week. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about this, what you think about fading Scotty Scheffler in single entry. That'll be fun. But make sure you check out your free DraftKings Rainmakers pack below. Make sure that you leave a like, subscribe, notification bell, all the great things that help me be able to keep the lights on because it's pretty dark here in South Dakota. My parents didn't like lighting, apparently. But until next week, friends, I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck at Colonial this week. If I could hit end record, that'd be great.